with present non-culture of the labor, present with Adriana Rodríguez Rojas, Edwin David Delgado Salcedo, Viviana Andrea Rodríguez Bayona, Jasmine Soacha Brano. Closer 1325 to be. Chapter 1 General Disposition, Article 4, 1353 to 358. The right of association was recognized in Colombia as fundamental right from the 1991 Constitution in its Article 39 and its purposes it provides workers with protection and benefit from the different unions organizations. The range of union association in the global reach Trondheim's history has been incorporated into the different labs of all contracts, seek key benefits for workers. Chapter 2 Organization Article 4 the 359 to 363 is the established that workers had the right to associate in unions for the defense and promotion of their labor interests. They must also increase with the Ministry of Labor and to obtain legal recognition. They must also meet criteria requirements to obtain legal status and have the minimum number the affiliate. Chapter 3 Organization Article 364 3072 establishes that the request for legal status must have the status and internal regulation of the union and the list of members. The unions that obtain legal status have the right to that legalization in defense of the interests of their members. Union that loses her legal status can be dissolved and liquidate and their asset. An asset will be used for purpose of social interest. Just prior to union power and diffusion, Article 4, the 1373 to 1367, you know, have the power to press and negotiate, call the street, promote education and the trading, and participate in the development of the public policy and the labor stars, the power allow them to defense and the project the rights and interests of the affiliate. Charter 5 provides on the session, Article 4, 1378 to 1381. These articles establish the provision for employers marketing if know that they cannot interfere in the union activity of organs such as right to union membership, the exercise of union function, and participation in union activities. They also have session for employers who violate the provisions established held in the substantive code. They include fines and other measures depending of the severity of the infraction.
Chapter 6, Article 3 under 1364 Internal Diet. The aforementioned article regulan important aspects of organization and operation of trade union in Colombia. They establish requirement of quorum in assemblies or alternative system of presentation, define the requirement to be a member of the board of direction, prohibit the participation in certain affiliated in the board of direction and establish the period of directive. 3 of provisions set to warrant transparency in adequate presentation in the management of money. Articles 4 under 1, 4 under 4. Judicial jurisdiction checks articles establish the continuous and the productive for the discussion and liquidation of Union in Colombia, the case in which a syndicate can be dissolved and deleted. The scale of liquidation process are described, and it is established what the remaining assets of in syndicate will adjudicate, indicate, and in specific one must approve the liquidation made with of the National Department of Union Supervision, the province regular the determination of the legal axis of in union and of only distribution in is accepted. Chapter 8, Article 4 under 5, 4 under 30. Union Code, which guarantee certain worker affiliates with union protection agrees on fine dismissal and of the labor relation. The circumstance in what the fuero sindical might be applied, the exposition to which protection, the good cause for discrimination and the disciplinary from the sensation relation to fuero sindical will classify the chapter and stop protect that union rig and promote reform of association and the front class in Colombia. Chapter 9, Article 4 under 14, 4 under 6. Official workers. Address the rank and limitation of public employees. Union of the official workers. The right of the worker to for union is recognized with specific functions of public employee union, such as advert and presentation in labor matters and addiction the obligation the authority to respond to and record of the union and set appropriate solution in establish the limitations on collective bargaining and strict declaration of these unions as deadline this carpet and to regular the duties and responsibilities of both employees union and of the official ordered work days workplace in Colombia.
Today, I will talk about collective labor conflict regulated in the Substantive Labor Code. The code defines a strike as the temporary collective suspension of work peaceful for economic and professional purposes. Establishes within the prohibitions the group of wherein youth performs their function as servants of the branches of public power, providers of jet and sanitation service, whereof of public service companies, providers of transport service. Some of the requirements to start a strike are: there must be a list of demands approved by the unit's General Assembly, which must be supervised by a document and must be presented to the company representation. Whenever there is collective conflict that results on the suspensions of work activities, the work union of the workers must appoint a delegation to present the list of demands to the employer as a requirement for the start of a directive agreement. Once the list of requests has been presented,
The employee has the obligation to receive the workers. Delegate with 24 hours after listen of request wise presented and to agree to the start of the conversation where 12 exists the 5 business days stabilization. The employer will refuse to initiate this direct settlement conversation with the stabilization time may receive a monetary fine. If during the period of thought of the developing of the direct agreement, an agreement is established between the parties. The receptive college agreement growth be signed and a copy must be sent to manifestation of labor on a social circuit. In the opposite case, where there is total of partial disagreement, a record must be issued, indicate the status of the conversation, determine the partial argument based on the list of requests on the form, does they fail to reconcile of error. 2 days after the act confirmation, the completion of the direct agreement process in the general a consideration must be appointed by mutual agreement process in general. A conciliation must be appointed by mutual agreement between the parties. You must know the status of the process and you in turn has 24 to 80 where see exception or the chat. If not, alternative must be found. This mediation has a maximum duration of the business days for the days after the termination of the direct select. It can then start the declaration and the development of the strike and or the sublimation to the decision of the arbitrary court. For the declaration and development of the strike, is it necessary to comply with the following regulation. First, it must be approved for the secret ballot by the majority of the Washington or the Reunion Assembly. Second, it will belong 2 days after submitting the declaration of the trial. Third, during the dispute, negotiation may continue directly with the order party or die the inversion of the minutes of the labor. 4. Work should not be in their workplace. 5. It must be a peaceful and order level. 6. A strike commission should be set of the skip when court and their representatives may in request the minutes of the labor to sublim the difference before and the arbitrary court. During the development of the strike, the authority must fulfill functions such as 1. Surveillance of the peaceful development of the movement. 2. Guarantee the exercise of these rights. 3. The minimum work and social security may be put to above among the workers or non-member of union. The possibility of presenting the difference in the arbitrator's decision. Thank you.
Taken from labor code. Illegal collective suspension of work. In the following case, when it is a public service, when you have purposes other than professional and economic, when it has not been declared by the General Assembly of Workers and under the law, when not limited to a peaceful suspension. Once the strike has been declared illegal, the employer can dismiss those who have participated in the strike. This legality or illegality of the strike must be judicially before the Labor Chamber of the Superior Court and before the Labor Chamber of the Supreme Court of Justice. Arbitration. They will be submitted to mandatory arbitration to find a solution. Collective labor conflicts that arise in essential public service without directed settlement, thus that are by minority unions as long as the majority of the company workers have not opted for a strike. Those who have intervened in the conciliation cannot be arbitrated. Their arbitrator must be appointed by the parties, and if there is no agreement, by the Ministry of Labor. Arbitration producer. We will find arbitration courts with powers to request information from the parties necessary for the trial or the inspection interrogate. The arbitrators can decide when there is not agreement between the parties. They have a time of 10 days to give a ruling, and their notification will be personal of the parties in writing. This ruling ends the conflict. Its validity cannot be greater than 2 years, and a collective suspension of work cannot be presented in this time. Common provisions. Once the strike has ended in an agreement between the parties or by arbitration decision, it does not release the crimes that have been committed from responsibility. Cluster of companies. Public service companies that do not depend on the state cannot suspend work without a government permit. The government intervenes when there is a suspension of service, assuming the direction of this company to continue providing service, and companies that are not public service cannot finish work without authorization from the Minister of Labor. Convention and collective agreement union contracts. Collective agreements. It is the one that is celebrated between all or several employer or employer association and one or several unions or union federation of workers to establish conditions in the employment contract. Its content will be what the parties agreement in terms of general working conditions. The company will be indicated the draft that includes the place where it will where the date is start, and it must be in writing and delivered to each party, and a copy to the National Labor Department within a maximum period of 15 days after signing. This convention applies to the members of the Union that have celebrated them. To those who adhered to them or later enter the Union, their affiliates must be more than on 1 year of the total number of employers. This collective agreement can be extended in whole or in part of the companies in the same industry that are similar in their technical and economic capacity, without deteriorating the conditions for workers. Unions that are part of a collective agreement must demand accomplice or payment of the managed workers must also do so whenever non-compliance causes them individual harm. If the duration of collective agreement was not stipulated, it must be held every 6 months. This agreement is automatically extended if within the 60 days prior to its expiration, neither party manifests in writing that they terminate extending for another 6 months. If you want to terminate the collective agreement, one or both parties must appear before the labor inspector of the place. This complaint will be delivered to the addressed by said official and copies to the National Labor Department and the complaint of the convention. The collective agreement will remain single. Thanks.